I'm Emily, I'm from SAGES, and we make natural dyes from food waste as a commercial alternative to the polluting synthetic dyes the industry currently uses. So the environmental impact of dye is actually really severe. So synthetic dyes are responsible for 80% of the emissions caused by the fashion industry. This is something that doesn't really get discussed much, like lots of sort of fashion rhetoric focuses on like new materials. But yeah, dye is actually one of the really big polluters. So we're really working to combat that pollution that synthetic dyes cause. Yeah, so there are lots of statistics around synthetic dyes, and there are varying dyes that are worse. So azo dyes, for example, I think are particularly more polluting because 50% of them does not adhere to the fabric. So 50% of that dye ends up in liquid waste. But generally speaking, the majority of synthetic dyes are highly polluting, and there aren't really any that are better. There are just lots that are worse than the others by comparison, yeah. Synthetic dyes are what we're trying to move away from, but there are existing natural dyes that people have been using for centuries. One of the problems with these is that you have to use farmland to grow the crops that are required for those dyes, and we would like to use as much farmland as possible for food. We don't really want to be using it for dyes, so we're utilising food waste. So that's where we developed our process of extracting pigments from a variety of different food waste. The other thing is that with natural dyes, lots of them aren't particularly easy to integrate into mass manufacture. They have quite like a complicated process. Lots of them will be very different, so it doesn't suit big, fast manufacture. So our dyes are really easy to integrate, and they also don't use any farmland. I'd say those are sort of like two key differences. I think natural dyes from food waste, people have been making these to like a very small cottage industry level in their kitchens for like a while, but they're really inconsistent. They're also a liquid dye, so you can't store them, like they go off very quickly. So what we're focusing on is using those sort of like cottage industry methods, but then commercializing them. So based on that particular model, we then developed the extraction process for a wider variety of food waste. SAGE's vision is to make natural dyes the obvious choice for the industry, because at the moment synthetic dyes are the obvious choice because they're really polluting, but they're high in colour fastness, they are resistant to UV fade, they're easy to wash. So we're aiming to make natural dyes meet those standards, so then it's like a really obvious choice for companies to switch to natural dyes. So at the moment we're working with, we've got actually a really wide variety of food waste that we can use, but for our R&D we've decided to focus on 5 specific food waste streams. So we're focusing on beetroots, avocado skins, onion skins, blueberries and red cabbage. So those are the 5 waste streams, but then from them we can actually extract a few different colours. So red cabbage, for example, is pH sensitive, so we can get a pink, green and a blue. I think our biggest milestone at the moment is getting some investment, which has allowed us to proceed with our research projects. Also getting onto the greenhouse was great. That happened beginning February this year. That's really helped us to develop. So now we're focusing on our R&D, which is our next big milestone. We've just received funding from SFC Capital, which has been amazing because it means that we can progress with the R&D projects that we've been wanting to progress with. And it was also sort of like quite big validation for us that like, yes, this business is worth investing in and it can really go somewhere. Coming from a fashion and arts background, the greenhouse has really benefited us. We're both from a similar industry, arts-based background. So where the greenhouse has access to more sort of like business, development, mentorship, and also contact with Imperial College London has been really useful for us. We haven't actually started selling our dyes yet. We've still got quite a lot of R&D to complete. So we've been doing R&D for the past 2 years on like extraction processes, making sure we've got like a range and a variety of pigments, and also looking at our sort of like food waste streams. But we've still got R&D to complete in terms of like fixation, and checking our water waste as well. Like at the moment, it looks like it's pretty environmentally friendly, but we want to make sure we've got the data to back that up. So those are our next projects. We'll be looking to complete them within 2023 and then going to market with the dyes in 2024. The thing we weren't expecting and were not so prepared for was the bureaucracy and the admin that goes around R&D. So for example, we did have a research partner who we had lined up. We've been speaking to them for probably at least 6 months. And then there was a fallout over IP. They had taken a different approach. So that research project unfortunately fell apart, and we then had to find a new research partner. My advice for anyone looking to start a sort of like climate change innovative startup would be just get going, start talking to people, start entering competitions, start meeting other startups and seeing what's going on. And there's a lot of help out there, so just try and access it and just develop, as much as you can. I think we're nervous and excited at the same time because it's all completely new to us. So when we first got the investment, it was amazing. We were like, oh, this is brilliant. We can do the things we wanted to do, the things we've been trying to budget for. But then also it means that obviously our business is developing, and now we have to sort of really adhere to being a proper business and have a proper business set up. 5 years from now, we want to be having a really big impact within the synthetic dye space. So we want to capture market share from the synthetic dyes and give natural dyes a bigger place within the fashion industry by making them commercially available. We also want to be developing our pigments into paints and inks that can be used for other applications within the fashion industry.